People ask me if it's illegal a lot. Yeah. I like to pretend with people that I'm just Bonnie and Clyde out there and cutting coins.
Welcome to a conversation with Carl. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe for the latest content. Joining me today is Philadelphia-based artist and jeweler Stacy Lee Weber. Stacy uses meticulous, labor-intensive techniques like coin cutting, metal fabrication, and weaving to transform everyday objects into provocative art. Her incredible work is featured in the permanent collection of the Smithsonian's Renwick Gallery and private collections around the world. Welcome, Stacy Lee Weber, to the conversation.
Yay.
No, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this. So, how did you get interested in art and creating
Art.
art?
Yeah, from an early age, I was artistically, deemed artistic. That I just like to draw and was really encouraged by my art teachers, just starting in grade school, honestly. So I've always just felt creative. When you have to write a paper, I would spend more time on writing the cover page and drawing my little doodles with the title of the paper. And then when it came to the actual text of writing the paper, it'd be like, God, I gotta do this. So just kind of deemed an artistic kid and had really nurturing family and parents that just encouraged it, I guess. So I kind of just, yeah, it just always felt like my path, so I was going to do something artistic.
How did you go from that to deciding I can make a living doing this?
Yeah, that I'm still pinching myself. Can I make a living? It's going good so far. You got to keep adapting. But yeah, I was raised really traditionally, like you're going to go to college. And I wanted to go to college. I wanted to get out of my house. And so I found the arts department in college. And so I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts at Ball State University, which was just an hour north of Indianapolis, where I grew up. And then I loved making things so much and had such great teachers and was so encouraged. And I really thought, man, I'm learning so many techniques. Like I was learning ceramic, metals, wood, but I kind of thought I suck at all of them though. Like I'm not where I want, like I could see how much better other people were. So I was encouraged to go to grad school like right after and get my Master of Fine Arts, which is the terminal degree in studio arts. So I went to University of Wisconsin in Madison, Wisconsin, and I got through that program. It's a 3-year program. So it's sort of an academic way to get to be an artist, okay, I got the degrees. Now what? And my brain just says oh, I'll teach. Like that's coming from a Midwestern family, they really valued being a professor, and I could be a professor and a teacher with those degrees. And then what happened was I met my now husband, and he's just a little firecracker. And in Wisconsin, we met, and he really wanted to move to the East Coast and try to be an artist and have an art studio. And I kind of was just like maybe dumb enough or on a whim enough to say, sure, I'll do that. And that's what we did. So we moved to Philadelphia right after grad school, which would be like 2008. And we had a friend with an open studio, an open apartment right next to him. And he was doing really well making like steam bent wood furniture. He came from Madison too. And we always thought, oh, we'll move to Brooklyn or, this is like a stepping stone, maybe to LA or something. And Philadelphia just really like encompassed us. We found such a great studio space on the northeast side of Philly and found a lot of like-minded people and just really kind of felt like it was a city that we could grow in. And so we've been here like 15 years now.
And
But
then,
that's the backstory. That's a little bit of the backstory.
so then how do you go from there to coin cutting?
Yeah. So even in grad school, my thesis work was coins and it was cutting up coins. It was during 2008, which was like an economic downturn, and we were getting through school, and everyone said, like, good luck getting a job, or, like the economy sucks right now. And so, being like creative, I thought, Joe, my husband always says I'm a literalist. So, if we're talking about money, I'm using money and cutting it up and trying to make art with this idea of like, we're all fucked, basically. Like, and so I started using pennies and I was being trained in metals. So metal smithing is like soldering sheets of copper and sheets of silver and gold. Once I started cutting up pennies, I realized like older pennies were actually copper, solid copper. So it's 1982 and older, they were actually solid copper. And then the newer ones are, if you cut them, they're like zinc in the inside and they're copper plated. So it's kind of like fake. And if you try to heat those new ones, they just melt really fast. Like you could melt them in an oven. But in metalsmithing, you need to raise things to really high temperatures to be able to solder and do techniques on them.
At the pennies, they're small. How do you work with such small pennies?
It is tiny. It is tiny, and that is a bit of my training is, that jewelry background. It's like setting a diamond, which is tiny. But metalsmithing can be also sculpture too. But yeah, I tend to be meticulous. Like anything small, I'm more attracted to. Like I could put 100 of those together and those could become something more meaningful. But the penny just kept resonating with me. And not only me, when I showed my artwork, this cut coins like in my thesis work. I sold a piece or two and I had such a good, like the viewers and the people just could relate to it so easily. Like, oh, that's a coin. I understand that. And so that became an important part of my work was that I could relate to like a very broad audience with this coin material. And it just always became, it was like a snowball that just, kept going and going and it has a brain of its own now. I don't know.
Do people get upset that you're using money or no, they like it?
Generally, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, even coin collectors, you might think would be like, "Ooh, that's something valuable." But in general, I'm using things that are not that valuable. Like even the silver coins are the value of the weight of the silver. It's not like a preciously minted coin that costs $1,000. I'm always trying to up the value. I say, like, if I get a penny, I'm trying to make it worth a dollar. So if I get a silver coin that's worth $10, I'm trying to make it, put my labor and my skill into it and make it more valuable. So, Jen, I had worked with some gold coins and stuff, but even the gold coins would be worth like the gold value. So I don't get a lot of people that are like, that's bad. Just maybe playfully saying that or to
Yeah.
my face, but
And
maybe some
then
trolls online. I don't know. The trolls out
yeah,
there.
don't ignore the trolls. We ignore them. What other materials or objects have you transformed besides coins? Because I've seen the coins are beautiful,
Mhm.
what you've
Yeah,
done,
I
and the
have
necklaces you've created.
I have like a series of screw jewelry, screw flowers, which I thought was just a great theme at the time. Like maybe I was just, I don't know, screw this or screw that. Thought was funny. And but I realized like brass screws, anything solid non-ferrous metal, I can use my soldering skills. Solid non-ferrous would be no iron in the metal. So unlike steel, you're welding, and then brass, bronze, nickel, silver, copper, you're soldering, silver soldering. Anyway, so the brass screws, I was doing a lot of like spiky flowers, and that's a really fun series.
And then do you get your inspiration like at 3 in the morning and you wake up and you come down to your studio and you're like, I gotta do this now? Or are you do you
It's
come to the
changed through the
studio
years.
or do you come to the studio at like 10 in the morning and then till 3? Or is there a time that you work or
Yeah,
you
I
just
used to
do
be
it
such
when
a
you
night owl. In the beginning when you got the hustle, the hard hustle, the hard hustle, when you're like
yeah.
got the job and then you're doing the side thing at night. So for tons of years, I had the full-time job as a jeweler, as a bench jeweler making wedding bands and engagement rings, and then come home and try to have my own jewelry going, my own coin things and orders going. So that would be the night shift. But in the past I would say like maybe 10 years, we've been on this kind of traditional 9 to 5 schedule because I have 3 assistants. And so once I started to get assistants, they're the ones that wanted the 9 to 5. I'm like, oh, God, back to a 9 to 5. No. But I've actually come to love it because I got, now I can work out after 5 and like I have a little bit more of other layers of life going on instead of it being so encompassing, and I've gotten older, so things change too, where yeah, just what you want to do in cycles. Yeah, I feel at a good pace as an artist. It's really nice, like your ideas coming out in the manner, the time frame. I try to tell people that's really important to get like a pace down. It's like if you want to make a necklace and it's a cool idea in your head, don't let the necklace take a year long. Try to create it in a week or two because that's probably as much money as you're going to get from that idea and try to like get yourself going, going, going.
Do you after you've created something and then you see it like a year later, do you
Mhm.
feel like I have to do this differently. I can do this again. Or are you critical of it? Or do you look at it and be like, oh, that's a really nice piece?
No, I every piece I'm like, "Oh god, I wish I did that differently." I'm the worst critic, like LeBron James, or something. I relate it to athletes a lot because you're just always like nitpicking. The thing about art that's so different though, maybe no basketball game's the same, but art is like you're always trying to make a one of a kind piece. So you get through the penny sculpture, the chainsaw penny sculpture, it took 5 years, and then you never make that piece again, because it's a one of a kind, it's special, and I try to make a different penny tool sculpture, but that's going to be rendered in a whole other way. But hopefully through the years you're like gaining
Mm.
skills. Like I can
As
dribble
soon
through my
as
legs.
as soon as will say goodbye to you, I'm going to think to myself, oh, there's four other questions I should have asked. So we do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
How many coins have you transformed into art?
My gosh, I have no idea. Millions.
Okay.
I'm sure millions. I have like a donation bucket or people send me coins, but I go through them so fast. Like one sculpture will be thousands of pennies or, my pace is rapid pace making things. So yeah, millions
And
maybe.
how did your work get into the Smithsonian? How does it feel to be on display?
Yeah, all the institutions are amazing. The Smithsonian is such a big name, DC, Smithsonian, everyone has a correlation to that name. It was through a really great curator, Nicholas Bell, who was curating a show called 40 Under 40. So that theme is used in different ways, but for this show, it was 40 artists, 40 years old and under. And the artwork was all collected by the Smithsonian. So it was an initiative to get the Smithsonian's collection like into a contemporary database or contemporary field because so much of their collection is kind of historic at this point. And so it's such a cool project that he did, and I made penny shovels. And so the shovels were punched pennies into squares, where the squares composed like the handles of the shovel and the head of the shovel. And then the remnants of the pennies with that punch square, the missing part was all the dirt on the ground. But the whole show was amazing. Everyone's artwork was very different. And that was how I got collected into that show. And it's been a while ago. But just recently I got collected by the Norris Atkins Museum. And that's a really cool museum that they found me at Chicago Expo. So we do a lot of art fairs to try to get the art to a broader public than just sitting in my studio or online is helpful too, but trying to just a big part of it is just getting it out there, You know that as well as
Yeah.
anybody.
Um, is your work being shown overseas or is it just displayed in the US right now?
I have been in I'm gonna butcher the name, but the Cheongju Craft Biennial a couple years ago, which was in Korea, and a couple of international things, but mostly the US. I think at least like 10 or 12 institutions. But really how I make my money is the public, and I have such a great collector base of people that are so supportive that have always had money in their life or found money in their life
Mhm.
and just have an awesome art collection. And they tend to like ride hard, like once they get one piece, they'll want another piece. And those people are really the bread and butter to my business and being an artist. The institutions come later and slower and take forever to pay and all those things. All those things we all understand, but they sound amazing when you tell the public you're in, the Smithsonian. But really just try to make sure people know it's that personal relationship and the follower base and the clientele that you're developing that really gets you through, to have a long-term career. Yeah.
And then you mentioned this before. You have three people that work there. Do you create most of the orders solo, or do you work with your team to create everything?
It's a big team, generally a team for sure. Like if I make penny earrings or these are silver dollar hoops, where I cut the inside of the coin and made into earrings. So I have like one that is the design and that I made, and then I'll teach someone how to make it. Once we get to there's such a variety, like I'm making these earrings or we're making these earrings all the way to making, a 10-foot big chain link fence out of pennies. So
Wow.
for that kind of project, that is like years in the making. And yeah, someone's helping me, an assistant's helping me make a penny into.
Do you have a buyer for that already, for the chain link
Yeah,
fence?
that was
Oh,
the Norris Atkins Museum. They just bought it a couple months ago.
okay.
And so I had to make a crate for it, and then we are shipping it like in a month, and then they'll get it and they're gonna display it, but there'll be a opening for it and stuff. So it takes a long time once an institution says they'll buy it. But that was a cool that was I call it a passion project. It wasn't a commission. I get a lot of commissions where someone might want a hammer made out of pennies, and I work with a client and make a cool piece for them. But this was just a piece that I really wanted to make over the years, that we created a fence about my neighborhood and about like keeping people out or keeping yourself safe. Fences are so symbolic in so many ways. And then made out of all pennies. So thinking about like my working class neighborhood in Northeast Philly and just putting labor into these pennies to try to make them more valuable was like the root of a lot of the penny sculptures and artwork. So there's a lot of different levels to what we're doing in the studio. But yeah, everyone helps with everything. I mean, they're my ideas, but yeah.
And do you want to go to brick and mortar, or you like being in the studio and people find you online?
Want to go to brick and mortar. I I love being in my studio. You can't see it, but through the windows, it's this big 2,000 square foot workshop. I say that over and over to all my assistants and myself, is that I love making things. So I love making things, which means I want to be in the studio making things. So that requires, people to try to help me sell it or do art fairs. And I still am present at art fairs also. And that's kind of a different side to your personality. You have to open up yourself and talk to the public a lot. And, the millionth time I've heard, like, isn't that illegal? Like, working with coins, you just hear the same thing on repeat talking to the public. But you also learn things through the public, and maybe the earring, like, maybe it's a little heavy, or these things, functional things. But yeah, generally I want to be in the studio making things. And we also have, my husband is a big part of it, but he made a art gallery maybe 8 years ago. And so some of my studio is an art gallery that we represent 10 artists, including ourselves, to take to art fairs and show artwork and sell artwork. So that's become its own kind of entity in itself, kind of outside of my own studio jewelry and sculpture. So there's a lot of different, I think of like an octopus with all these legs, and that's like how you survive as a business too, is just you got a lot of arms going.
So if
But
someone's
yeah.
watching this today and they're like, "How do I find Stacy Lee Weber?" What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say I'm really present on Instagram a lot. Like I just posted my stories today, what I'm working on and what my assistant's working on, a penny cube. And my website has like the newest things I just finished, I put in my web shop. And so we have a photography that some of the assistants will take, artwork and then photograph it and then put it in the shop. So that's like the most current thing I'm working on. But then the fairs, if you can, like, for instance, I'm doing the Grand Central Holiday Fair. So that's at
Yeah.
Grand Central Terminal, and that's a 6-week long fair. Joe and I will both be exchanging, who's working the fair, but that's a brutal one. That's every day for 6 weeks besides Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I have to be there. I'm not going to be in my studio making, it'll depends how, if we sell out of something, I got to come back and come make it. But that's a really crazy time of year. The fall is just, that's the time like I probably make the most money.
When you're doing that, are you missing the studio?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wish I could sit in a closet and make things and never go in the public. No, just maybe not that bad, but like, yeah, I want to just be making things. But
Yeah.
I also want to be my own boss and have a business, and not have, I want to get my ideas out, and so it, want.
Do people commission stuff and then you're like, "Well, that's a bad idea. I'm not doing it," or you're like, "Well, I'll do it for them because they're going to pay me, and I'm doing stuff that I need to do to get what I want."
No idea is a bad idea,
No,
but
okay.
but I can definitely take ideas and suggest things, and try to kind of say like, what about that, but like this? Or, there's a few times where I'm just like, no, that seems crazy. If it's not like aligned with a series that I've been working on, or it's like, hey, like, can you work with these? I don't know what it is, like nails that I had for my building that I just bought. Like, and I'm like, I don't work with steel and I'm not doing a nail series right now. So I probably might say no to that one. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite art museum that you
Favorite
go to
art
that
museum? I
yeah.
gotta say the PMA, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, of course, but I mean, the Met is like endlessly insane. Like, I'll just run to the Fabergé eggs in the Met and just be like, oh my God, so amazing. It's just so big. You could spend one day like in 2 rooms at the Met. Yeah, and then the MCA, like in Chicago. I lived in Chicago a little bit. So the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago is really great. Really artists, like big artists, contemporary big artists that have giant shows that I've seen some really amazing work there.
Have famous individuals started contacting you, or you don't talk about that?
Not that famous. I would talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes like DMs on Instagram, which are cool, and
Yeah.
I feel like I've done some things, but they won't tell me who it is, like who the person they won't like their manager, whoever won't say exactly who it is.
Oh,
A bunch of lawyers and politicians were here and they someone picked out these cufflinks, buffalo cufflinks, and his wife really are from Colorado and love buffalo nickels and then come to find out within a week later, it was Neil Gorsuch, like was in my studio. So it was just, like, strange, like, definitely things like odd political things have happened, so, like, where because the coins and money and, tends kinda to align a little bit with, like,
I
gift-based things.
I imagine you try to stay out of politics
Yeah,
because
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty liberal, Democrat on the voter card, but just through social media and through politics, through coins, the presidents are on the coins, so you can't negate that. But it's just something I'm not that interested in really like I want to make things and get them out to the world. So I like things that ride a line, like that aren't so decisive. I'm a Libra, so I'm like always riding the middle line
Yeah.
of things, a lot of balance in my life. But yeah, I don't find it that interesting, I guess. Part of it is
And then where do you see
mhm.
your art evolving next? Are there new techniques and concepts that you're eager to explore and
Oh
learn?
yeah, it's like so many ideas, not enough time. 'Cause you really got to whittle down the ideas to what you really want to do because life is short, not enough time. But yeah, right now we're a project maybe that's why I'm talking about basketball is we're working on a penny basketball hoop. So the chain is out of pennies and the backboard is out of pennies. And I'm hoping to show that in Miami for Scope Art Fair in Miami, which is in the first week of December during like Art Basel week. That's really crazy down there. Everyone should go to once in their life if they haven't been. But yeah, that's the big project I'm hoping to get finished. And then I have some commissions. I have a snare drum out of like silver quarters I'm making. That's part of this like musical instrument collection that I've done for a client. That's going to be really cool. And then always like I'm also in the National Archives gift shop, like a really heavy presence there, a big case full of jewelry and I work with the manager there and I have tons of jewelry orders for him that I'm constantly fulfilling. So that's actually probably the best case to see most of all my jewelry is the strangely is at the
Yeah.
National Archives gift shop. Gotta really seek it out
Yes.
in person and then online, my whole web shop.
Yeah. No, this is it's really interesting. As we start to wrap up, is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
Not in particular. Nothing comes to mind. People ask me if it's illegal a lot. Yeah,
You
the
wouldn't be doing it
materials
if
are
it was
cool.
illegal.
Yeah, I wouldn't be on your podcast. But I really like to like pretend with people that I'm just like, Bonnie and Clyde out there and like cutting coins and
Yeah. And that
but it's
is your
fun because it does bring people into this just immediate thought like, oh, my dad parents have told me this is illegal. Is that can't be true or like but it is like a great, lead to a conversation. And it's like they know it's not illegal generally. It's just like I don't know, this gut response. And then you'll like dig a little deeper and be like, no, it's not illegal. You have to have fraudulent intent for it to be illegal to destroy your coin. So you're like counterfeiting. It's basically just counterfeiting. But in the US, we can make our coins into jewelry, sculpture, anything, and sell it for any price we want to. And so that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
How do people find you?
They'd find me at my website, stacyleeweber.com, or on social media on Instagram, Stacy Lee Weber. That has my most day to day, like me in the studio when I'm actually working on that day. I try to keep it really relevant and fresh. Yeah, you could just
Yeah.
Google my name, things will pop up.
And then I just one other question here. Are you when you're talking about coming down to Grand Central in the fall,
Mm. Hmm.
are you getting ready for that now? How
Yes,
far in advance
exactly.
are you getting ready for that to sell that?
Yeah, like, I'm making, like, 100 pairs of penny earrings right now for that, and trying to do some art pieces, like wall pieces for the booth walls to have some big coin artwork there. So, yeah, that's prime time, like, the making time is for me is, like, you know, after Christmas, so it'd be, like, January all the way till August, and
Yeah.
then it turns into, like, the selling time. Put my little Christmas hat on and ho, ho, ho.
Yeah. Stacey Lee Weber, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you out there for listening. Let me know what you think. Put your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, until next time, everyone, be safe.